noche nos estábamos yendo. Le dijimos al policía que nosotros no íbamos a atacar la autopista, nos estábamos yendo. El hecho ni siquiera lo pensó 2 veces y le disparó lejos en la pierna.
Empezaron a reprimir a los que estaban manifestando, con balas lacrimógenas, perdigones.
Y nos lanzamos al piso.
Yo fui el primero en recibir el disparo.
Esa pudo haber sido mi pierna. Yo la tenía al lado.
Yo nunca me imaginé que iba a pasar eso.
Detenido injustamente por soñar con una mejor Venezuela.
It all began with peaceful student demonstrations. The main goal, to demand action against the rise of insecurity and economic crisis in their country. On February 12, thousands of students marched in the most populated cities of Venezuela. In commemoration of the Battle of the Youth, they walked with hope and unity. The movement counted with the blessing of opposition leader Leopoldo López, who asked Venezuelans to join the students as a symbol of resistance.
Tenemos que asumir la protesta, la calle como un deber moral.
But as the rally progressed, the streets turned into war zone. The forces of President Nicolás Maduro oppressed those who were still in the streets, causing 3 dead students and leaving dozens seriously injured. Leopoldo López was soon given an order of arrest for inciting violence. On February the 18th, he turned himself in. He was accompanied by hundreds of thousands of students and workers. They wore white as a symbol of peace. Basil da Costa was the first unarmed student to die on February 12th. He was running from the guards when they shot him in the head. Without even knowing, his last message on Facebook became a goodbye letter to his friends and family. The message read, "Well, people, this person here is going to march tomorrow, without fear of anything, hoping to find a better future." He was 23. I made this video because, like Basil, I'm also a student who dreams of a better future in my country. But above all, I'm also a Venezuelan with a right to democracy. My duty as a journalist is to report the truth with freedom and without fear. Over the past weeks, I used every single resource I had to bring just that, the truth, to a censored and desperate Venezuela. I was able to locate and talk to 3 students from Caracas via phone. Loredana Neves, Giovanni Russo, and a student who preferred to remain anonymous were participating in different protests. They were getting ready to get back home safely, when suddenly they said to experience violence from the security forces.
Por favor, que ya no íbamos a ir, éramos puras mujeres. Y el guardia dijo, corran.
Arranca de aquí, fue lo que me dijo el guardia, y cuando me dijo arranca aquí me volteé, me soltó el tiro.
Hicimos señas al policía de que nosotros nos queríamos ir, que no íbamos a trancar la autopista, y le pasamos por el lado al cordón policial, pero él nos apuntó a la pierna y le dio a la pierna de Alejandro Herrera.
After I heard the stories, I had to ask myself, how is this legal? According to the article number 68 of the Venezuelan General Police Council, people have the right to protest freely on their streets. Article number 55 says that the state law enforcement groups will respect the human rights of all people. And in case of public unrest, repression with gas bombs and pellet bullets should only be used when all negotiation sources have been tried and exhausted. So I asked student Giovanni Russo the conditions when he was shot by the National Guard.
Una vez que te alcanzaron, los dejaron libres y les empezaron a disparar sin ninguna razón.
Es correcto.
And then I asked the same question to Loredana Neves. She was leaving the protest in a motorcycle with his friend Alejandro Herrera when a member of police shot Alejandro in the leg.
¿Cuál fue la reacción de la Guardia Nacional cuando le explicaron a ustedes que uno de ellos fue el que le disparó?
Yo ni siquiera miré la cara, yo le dije, nos estamos yendo, o sea, ¿cómo es posible que ustedes sean capaces? Yo le hice señas de que nos estábamos yendo, nosotros no queríamos seguir protestando y ustedes ni siquiera hesitaron por un momento, sino que nos dieron de una.
According to the 2 students' testimony, law enforcement officers never attempted to negotiate as this rule required. The 3rd student had a similar experience. She said the National Guard received help from paramilitary pro-government groups called colectivos.
Nos mantuvieron contra el piso y
¿sabes? Tuvimos que resguardarnos abajo de los bultos y todo lo que teníamos porque nos pasaban los perdigones por encima.
When protests turned violent, many neighbors opened their doors and offered shelter to those students who felt their lives were in danger.
Fueron personas que nos abrieron las puertas y nos dijeron, métanse aquí, y ahí nos mantuvimos todos en el piso con las luces apagadas, ya que fue justo enfrente de la plaza y desde ahí escuchábamos todo lo que estaba pasando.
But not everybody could escape from the bullets. Take a look at this video shot by civilians the night of February 19th. It shows the National Guard shooting a civilian that was protesting, and later leaving him on the streets. This young man did not have any weapons to defend himself. Civilians took him to the hospital where he needed 35 blood donants. By the time of the release of this video, he remained in critical condition. More than dozens unarmed Venezuelans have lost their lives in the past days. Beauty queen and student Genesis Carmona was shot in the head. Geraldine Moreno was shot in the eye and died the day after. Roberto Redman, who helped carry the body of Basil da Costa, was also shot to death later that night. And if they are not shot, they are caught. Like these one, there are hundreds of other protesters behind bars. And once they are caught, they're physically abused. Juan Manuel Carrasco reported being tortured, threatened, and sexually abused by the National Guard during prison.
Soy la madre de Juan Manuel Carrasco González. ¿Ok? Sí. Yo quiero invitar a la Fiscal General de la República, Luisa Estela Ortega Díaz, a la Presidenta del Tribunal Supremo de Justicia, a la Defensora del Pueblo, que vengan al Valencia, Estado Carabobo, y que se apersonen aquí en mi casa, en la Policlínica La Viña, y certifiquen el estado de salud en el que se encuentra mi hijo.
Juan Manuel's mother added how her son made the nurses cry as he kept screaming in panic.
No me peguen más, auxilio, papi, ven, papá, por favor, ayúdame.
Among the declarations, Juan Manuel told the Colombian station NTN 24 how he was raped with a rifle. He also said the guards gave him death threats from the same ones who swore his protection. But this doesn't end here. Take a look at this other video. Marvinia Jimenez said she saw how the National Guard repressed protesters with tear gas and firearms. She took her phone and started recording what she thought she could use as evidence of abusive force. When the National Guard noticed what she was doing, she said they shoved her to the ground.
Mira cómo le dan golpe, miren, no es mentira.
As you can see in this video taken by a neighbor, a female guard took her helmet off and hit her several times in the head, despite of her screams of pain. Marvinia was not only brutally beaten, as these pictures show. She revealed her testimony to this news website, where she said, "The worst hadn't begun. They took me in handcuffs on a motorcycle and the woman continued hitting me." Marvinia was charged with 5 serious offenses by the Venezuelan Attorney General Luis Ortega Diaz. They included assault and resistance to authority. This other video captures the moment when National Guard trespassed the private property of the civilians shooting this video and forced residents to hide inside their homes until they were gone. So the question arises, who reports these events and who punishes those who are shown violating the human rights of the people? Following governmental censorship, every Venezuelan TV station has turned a blind eye on the reality of its country. While Geraldine Moreno was being buried, President Maduro was in primetime television dancing with a smile on his face. Thousands of citizens depended on NTN 24 to hear what was happening. But after February 12, the channel went out of signal. CNN en español received threats as well.
Cuando se nos dice que nuestro permiso para realizar nuestra labor periodística en Venezuela está revocado y nos preguntan que cuándo nos vamos del país.
As the doors close at home, Venezuelans find new ways to spread their message to the world. Social media has become key to disseminate information. Venezuelan citizens became street reporters. While the National Guard uses weapons to kill their own people, the students use mobile devices to report the truth. Hundreds of YouTube videos about this reality have been posted since February 12th.
Y tú también, porque sé que estabas llorando. Mírate los ojos como los tienes. Lucha por nosotros, lucha por ti, por tu familia. ¿Qué quieres? Que Venezuela caiga arrodillada por completo para que ustedes recapaciten y se den cuenta de lo que estamos viviendo. Hace falta eso. Hace falta que más gente muera para que todos podamos salir adelante.
These images have made international media organizations capable of informing the eyes of the world about this situation. But even inside Venezuela, as citizens leave their homes and follow their right to protest on streets, they find it impossible to get online and communicate. At multiple occasions, many have reported to feel blinded and silenced, which makes their journey even harder.
El problema más importante yo creo que es el problema del internet. Sirve muy lento el celular. Muchas veces tengo que reenviar los emails o para que se cargue un tweet o alguna foto de Instagram se tarda muchísimo tiempo.
But Venezuelans around the world are not censored. Like myself, there are other thousands who refuse to be silenced. We have united for the same cause, bombarding the world with information about the human rights violations in Venezuela. They seek for international support. With their campaigns such as I'm Your Voice Venezuela and SOS Venezuela, the reality of uprising and violence in their nation has reached others' hearts.
Puerto Rico y todo el pueblo latinoamericano estamos con Venezuela.
Soy de Colombia y estoy apoyando a Venezuela porque quiero ser la voz de ellos.
Soy español, pero tengo un gran afecto por Venezuela y por todos los países latinoamericanos y considero que son nuestros hermanos.
With ongoing rallies around the world, they demand their voice to be heard.
Yo no sé qué está esperando el mundo, la ONU, que yo no sé para qué les pagan esos sueldos a esa gente en la ONU, ni la OEA, ni ninguna de esas organizaciones que no sirven para nada. Hablemos claro, no sirven para nada. La gente se está matando en Venezuela y no hacen absolutamente nada.
To the citizens of the world, we ask that you continue to follow the situation in Venezuela through the media and social networks, and that you share the images and videos that evidence the strong repression of the Venezuelan regime.
Esas son las fotos que el mundo tiene que ver porque se tienen que enterar de la violencia que existe hoy en día en Venezuela.
A college student in Florida had the initiative of communicating people a full and simple understanding of the country's situation.
It is the duty of all Venezuelans living here to stand up when our homeland is being shut down.
It has more than 2 million views. She used videos and photos pulled out from Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, a proof that internet and social media has become a tie to Venezuelans around the world.
I'm a Venezuelan living in Barcelona, and I complain because I love my country and I want a better future for Venezuela. We had enough debts, enough insecurity, enough injustice.
That's why I fight. That is why we fight.
I believe in a better future where I can go back to my country and not be afraid.
It's important that no matter where you are, you go out to the streets to report to the world what's happening to our country.
Desde aquí, en Alberta, Canadá, pido que apoyemos a todos los venezolanos que andan en las calles manifestando por un mejor futuro en el país.
Si somos hermanos en las buenas, también tenemos que hacerlo en las malas.
To create awareness of Venezuela's current situation, a group of friends and I have been talking to the classrooms of our university, spreading the word of what's happening in our country.
Wherever I go, I tell people what's happening.
Nosotros somos la única esperanza de nuestro país, pues por medio de nosotros es que ellos se están enterando de todo lo que está ocurriendo.
Twitter and Instagram and Vine, sending pictures, are sending videos, are sending voice notes of what's going on, and you can see through these means what's really happening.
Reprimen y hieren a estudiantes y obviamente el país ha despertado y ha dicho basta.
Ya el país está totalmente cansado, que no damos para más muertos, que lo que queremos es salir para adelante.
Considering the media blockage that is in effect in the country, we need your spaces to become an echo to the cry that is now forbidden in Venezuela.
The accumulation made out of street images has placed Venezuela under the world's microscope.
Breaking news tonight out of Venezuela.
Nuevos hechos de violencia en Venezuela.
Estos videos han sido revisados y confirmados.
Nicolás Maduro anunció en cadena de televisión que
legitimate grievances of the Venezuelan people.
Fuerzas políticas en Venezuela.
Even though the future of Venezuela remains uncertain, Venezuelan workers and students all around the world insist they are not willing to give up their right to freedom, democracy, and their hunger for a better country.
The message is the same one that everybody's going to give them.
A pesar de que muchas personas piensan que el apoyo en el extranjero no cuenta, sí cuenta.
Estamos dando toda la fuerza posible desde acá a los estudiantes de Venezuela que están en pie de lucha desde hace más de una semana, que están arriesgando su vida, que están arriesgando todo lo que tienen por un mejor futuro para todos nosotros.
Claramente la situación va más allá de las manos.
Ahí es en donde estamos entrando nosotros. Nosotros estamos entrando para decirles, no, tú puedes seguir. En cuanto te rindas, ya la lucha se habrá acabado, habrás perdido.
And if you continue doing this, you're gonna get somewhere.
Y no se trata de política, no se trata de a quién ponemos en el poder o quién sale del poder.
Porque Venezuela simple y llanamente es el país en donde yo nací.
Que nos hizo crecer, el país donde aprendimos, lloramos, vivimos, estudiamos.
Mi cabeza ahorita está en Venezuela en cuanto a la situación, en la crisis.
Vivo pegada a un celular, leyendo todo lo que está pasando, informándole a la gente que está allá que no tiene cómo comunicarse y que yo a veces me entero primero que ellos de lo que está pasando. Es horrible, es una sensación indescriptible.
Pero que estemos lejos no significa que estamos ausentes y estoy aquí demostrando que aunque no estemos en físico, estamos de corazón y estamos en espíritu y estamos con todos los estudiantes y toda nuestra familia. Estamos preparándonos para luego volver a ir al país y sacarlo adelante.
Para volverla a ser ese país potente, ese país importante que debe ser.
Protestamos por un cambio que perdure en Venezuela. Se trata realmente de tener un mejor bienestar para todos, tener seguridad.
Quiero regresarme a mi casa y quiero estar junto otra vez con mi familia y que estemos todos en paz y felices como recuerdo mi infancia.
No acostarte todos los días pensando si el día de mañana te van a hacer algo.
Pero la gente en Venezuela se está muriendo de hambre, no hay medicinas y la están cayendo a plomo.
Hay que tener siempre claro cuál es nuestra lucha. Estamos luchando contra escasez. La canasta básica es 3 veces el sueldo mínimo de Venezuela. Estamos luchando contra inseguridad. El año pasado más de 24.000 venezolanos murieron a manos del AMPA, murieron por violencia. Estamos luchando contra la censura. Los medios, las televisiones, las radios no están mostrando la verdad en Venezuela.
We urge the heads of states of all democratic nations and parliaments of the world that have not already done so to pronounce yourselves against the 8 deaths, the more than 300 detained, the political prisoners, and the censorship of the media. We want to know that whether you are on the side of democracy and human rights or not. President John F. Kennedy once said, "The hottest places in hell are reserved for those who, in times of great moral crisis, maintain their neutrality." It's not a time to be neutral. It's a time to stand up for what is right. It's a time to fight for human rights and to fight for freedom and democracy.
Sigamos esta lucha, pero siempre con paz, siempre sujetos a la Constitución, siempre respetando los derechos del otro. Porque si queremos tolerancia, tenemos que mostrar tolerancia. Y si queremos una mejor Venezuela, tenemos que mostrarlo nosotros también.
So now the question remains, is it the people who should fear the government? Or is it the regime who should fear their people? These students have one thing clear. He who tires loses. commemoration of the Battle of the Youth, they walked with hope and unity. The movement counted with the blessing of opposition leader Leopoldo López, who asked Venezuelans to join the students as a symbol of resistance.
Tenemos que asumir la protesta, la calle como un deber moral.
But as the rally progressed, the streets turned into war zone. The forces of President Nicolás Maduro oppressed those who were still in the streets. They wore white as a symbol of peace. Basil da Costa was the first unarmed student to die on February 12th. He was running from the guards when they shot him in the head. Without even knowing, his last message on Facebook became a goodbye letter to his friends and family. The message read, "Well, people, this person here is going to march tomorrow."
En la marcha nos estábamos yendo. Le dijimos al policía que nosotros no íbamos a atacar la autopista, nos estábamos yendo. El hecho ni siquiera lo pensó dos veces y le disparó lejos en la pierna.
Empezaron a perseguir a los que estaban manifestando, con balas lacrimógenas, perdigones.
Y nos lanzamos al piso.
Yo fui el primero en recibir el disparo.
Esa pudo haber sido mi pierna. Yo la tenía al lado. Yo nunca me imaginé que iba a pasar esto.
Detenido injustamente por su...
causing 3 dead students and leaving dozens seriously injured. Leopoldo López was soon given an order of arrest for inciting violence. On February the 18th, he turned himself in. He was accompanied by hundreds of thousands of students and workers.
Soñar con una mejor Venezuela.
It all began with peaceful student demonstrations. The main goal, to demand action against the rise of insecurity and economic crisis in their country. On February 12, thousands of students marched in the most populated cities of Venezuela. In commemoration